YouTubers, Hankster here, and welcome to another edition of the Hulk She-Hulk review. And today we're going to be focusing on not an action figure or collectible, but we're going to be focusing on a new series, which of course is currently being shown on the Disney XD channel, obviously because they of course own Marvel Comics, and it's the new Marvel series Hulk and the Agents of S.M.A.S.H. And basically it's the Hulk teaming up with Rick Jones, who of course in this episode is the A-Bomb, the Red Hulk, She-Hulk, and Scar, as they take on enemy forces that try to take over Earth, and the bad guys of the Marvel Universe. So basically let's get on to the individual characters and then the basic plot of the show. We're going to start off here, of course, obviously the Hulk, and this is the version of the Hulk after the episode, which involved the episode of the Ultimate Spider-Man series, in which the Hulk appeared, and through the work of a villain, I forgot his name, switched the minds of Spider-Man with the Hulk, and by the end of that episode, when their minds were switched back, the Hulk basically spoke more articulately and was more intelligent. So this was a spinoff from that particular episode. So basically, and of course, he reminds me, of course, also of the Professor Hulk from the comic book series, where it was basically a combination of the three main personalities, the Green Hulk, Bruce Banner, and the Gray Hulk. In this particular episode, so he's basically is technically Bruce Banner, but the only person that actually calls him Bruce is the She-Hulk. He of course is still angry, but most of the time he does keep his cool enough to stay intelligent. The only times he will revert back to the Savage Hulk is when his anger reaches its limits, and of course starts talking like the classic Hulk. Sadly, of course, the voice is not Lou Ferrigno like it was back in the 1990 series. Would have been interesting to have Lou Ferrigno play the role again. I didn't really catch the name of the actor who's playing the Hulk in this one. He of course is he of course is the leader of the group, and of course has to try to keep everything together. He also has to keep an eye on Rick Jones, who of course has gone through his own gamma mutation as well, and of course is kind of suspicious of the newcomer Scar, and of course everybody is kind of curious about where this guy has come from, and we'll be getting to his origin in a few minutes. And I like this version of the Hulk. He's still sort of a raging brute, but of course he's also trying to prove that he is more than a monster, as many people in the Marvel Universe think he is. Now next we're going to move on to Rick Jones, aka the A-Bomb. Of course they did bring on the A-Bomb character from the recent War of the Hulk series. Now of course, if you know, Rick Jones of course has always been the Hulk's best friend. Through the history of the comic book series, he of course was the reason why the Banner became the Hulk in the first place. If you remember, he of course wandered into the testing facility, and when Banner tried to save him by pushing him into a ditch, Banner got exposed to the gamma radiation. Now finally, of course, in this series, it's now Rick Jones's turn to be a gamma mutant. As he's acquired the form of A-Bomb. Now, I keep thinking, of course, the A-Bomb is sort of short for Abomination, being that even though he is blue-skinned, he does resemble the Abomination in some sense. So, but to be kind of more to Rick's personality, he calls himself A-Bomb. And he's sort of the comic relief of the series. He's even started his own web series to kind of prove to the world that the Hulk is not some mindless monster, that he is trying to be a hero, and kind of using sort of floating robot drones to kind of record everything to put onto the internet later. That's basically the plot line of the show. It's sort of like almost like a reality series in between scenes, in between the action. They kind of flip back to little interview scenes, kind of like a reminiscent of The Real World or any other reality series when they kind of have an interview with an individual member of the cast. So you get to hear, talk about their points of view of a specific situation. So, but he's kind of a goofball. He's still kind of learning his abilities. Of course, as well as he's blue skinned, he looks almost kind of like he's armored, like an insect or a reptile. He also has the ability to blend into his surroundings. He kind of becomes invisible, and he just discovered that while he was fighting Scar. And of course, he's kind of a goofball, and the Hulk kind of has to keep his eye on him to try to protect him. Even though now that he's a Gamma mutant himself, he feels that he doesn't need to be protected. He wants to prove himself to the Hulk that he's a viable member of the team as well. And now we're going to move on to none other than the Red Hulk. Now, of course, everybody knows who the Red Hulk is. He, of course, is General Thunderbolt Ross, the former human adversary to the Incredible Hulk, but he, of course, got contaminated. But it wasn't real. I don't think it's really gamma radiation. I think it was some like cosmic rays or something like that. It's kind of like what happened to the Fantastic Four. He basically became his worst. It's kind of like what happened to Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars. He became what he was fighting against, and of course the Red Hulk. He of course almost has about the same strength as the Green Hulk. He of course most of the time uses weapons. He of course still has that military personality about him, and he kind of tries to horn in on the leadership role as well. Being of course he was a general, you kind of don't blame him. Interesting. I always still try to wonder how in the world does he lose that mustache? When he's in human form, General Ross has that thick mustache, and when he turns into the Red Hulk, he loses that mustache. I can never understand that concept. He, of course, he has that military attitude. I think he even kind of had that. There was a little bit of a Planet of the Apes quote there. He said, a couple of weeks I'll be running this place," kind of like. Colonel Taylor in the original Planet of the Apes, kind of taking that quote there. So, but he's kind of a cool character. Of course, when he gets angry, the hotter he gets, being that he gets hotter and hotter. So, literally. So, but he is kind of toe to toe with the Hulk in a lot of situations. Even though they do get along with each other most of the time, even though they do have that very rocky past. And now we're going to move on to the She-Hulk, who of course is Bruce Banner and the Hulk's cousin, who of course became the She-Hulk when Banner was had to give her a blood transfusion. She of course became the She-Hulk. Now of course, unlike in the comic books, they don't really mention that she of course is also supposed to be a lawyer. In the beginning, when they showed her in the beginning episodes, she of course was a stunt woman for movies because of course she's super strong and her body can take punishment without extra protection. She really didn't like it. She just felt like this is the only job I can get situation. Of course, she's voiced by Buffy the Vampire Slayer adversary Elisa Dushku, who, of course, has been floating around doing movies and TV shows for a while now. And, of course, now she is the voice of the She-Hulk. Interesting choice. She's kind of a tough chick. Pretty good choice. She, the She-Hulk, of course, is still kind of a wiseacre. And she, of course, also is a pilot in this episode. She can pilot devices. And, of course, I've never really saw much of that in the comic books or when she was on the 90s animated series, or even her brief appearances on the Fantastic Four animated series as well. She, of course, does wear her popular outfit from the comic books, the sort of the purple and white outfit. So she still basically knows that's no difference from that series to the comic book. And being that she's the only female of the group, but she, of course, has already been accepted by everybody, so not much trouble there. Um, of course, but even she gets along a little bit good with the Red Hulk. Interesting enough, no sign of yet of her red counterpart, which of course is the Red She-Hulk, aka Betty Ross, the Hulk's ex-wife. No word about her being in the series yet, so we don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. But in the comic books, that Scar is the Hulk's son from another relationship. When he was banished from Earth, he crash lands on a planet named Scar, and he falls in love with an alien woman. They get married by their whatever alien custom it was, and of course she gave birth to Scar. Now, of course, he himself is a Gamma mutant. Of course, we haven't seen him. He doesn't comment. If you saw the end of the second episode of the two-parter episode to Destruction, he does a connection with the Hulk's Gamma enemy, the leader. Seems like the leader knows a lot more about Scar than everybody else does, and he's kind of holding out over Scar to be sort of a spy within the new group of the Agents of S.M.A.S.H. But hopefully he will, something will come good out of this, and he will, prove to be a loyal member after all this. And of course, now, of course, we had the first major villain of the series that they took on was Annihilus. He, of course, is this kind of giant armored creature who leads a force of insect-like beings, and he, of course, has already overrun what is called the Negative Zone, which is an alternate universe, and now sets his sights on taking over the Earth. And that basically was the point of the first two episodes, not only to bring the Agents of S.M.A.S.H together, but also to have him face something, which of course was Annihilus. And of course he wasn't defeated. If you saw the end of that episode, and of course, I'm sorry, this is going to be a spoiler for some of you people who haven't seen it yet, he was defeated. But of course, we all wondered who made it possible to make that portal to the that alternate universe, the Negative Zone. Who did it? Who was he leagued with? We found out it was somebody on Earth. And of course, by the end of that episode, we all knew it was none other than the Hulk's intelligent enemy, the Leader. Now, of course, if you all remember, the Leader is this giant bulbous head character. He, of course, was exposed to the same gamma radiation the Hulk was, but instead of gaining super strength, he gained super intelligence. But, of course, also he gained a demonic ego, which thinks that he should rule the world instead of regular humans. And, of course, as I said before, he has a connection with Scar. We don't know if he brought him from the future or some sort of alternate reality or whatever. We'll just have to find out what he knows about Scar and what Scar's true past is. Now, of course, all in all, this is a pretty good episode. This is one of my favorite Hulk series, at least since the 1990 series. And you get to see one of my favorite courses is that you get to see all the Hulk, just about all the Hulk characters there. You get to see all the Hulks interacting. It's not like you're just going to see them once in a great while. They're all going to work together. And a lot of people were worried that maybe this, and I was kind of concerned this is going to be sort of like a watered down child friendly or at least mother approved series. But so far it doesn't appear that way, and I hope it just keeps going like that. And basically, that's all I got to say about that, and I hope you enjoyed this little review of Hulk and the Agents of S.M.A.S.H. Stay tuned here for more reviews and whatnot here on the Multiverse. See ya.